Thank you, and welcome to the 2024 State of the City Address. Residents, business operators, and friends, it's an honor to stand here today as we gather to reflect on the progress we've made and to discuss our future, to celebrate our vibrant community that is Arden Hills. On behalf of the City Council, I want to welcome you here. I want to introduce our council members. Councilmember Brenda Holden, Councilmember Emily Rousseau, Councilmember Tina Munson, and Councilmember Tom Fable. I'd also like to acknowledge the city staff's hard work and dedication. Their efforts help shape the policies and initiatives that contribute to the prosperity of Arden Hills. Led by City Administrator Dave Peralt. Here with us today is also Jessica Jago, our Community Development Director, Jua Yang, our Finance Director, David Swearingen, our City Engineer and Public Works Director, and Luke Cardona, probably in the back there. He's out in the hallway. He's our Senior Communications Coordinator. I'd also like to welcome a couple of special guests. First off, Peter Lindstrom. Peter is our Metropolitan Council representative. And I'd also like to acknowledge John Connolly of Twin Cities North Chamber. I'd like to thank all these folks, along with the rest of the team that works here in the city of Arden Hills, for all that you do. Before we delve into the details of our city's current state, I want to express my gratitude to each of you for being here. Your presence is a testament to the strong sense of community that defines Arden Hills. No matter your interest on a particular subject, you all have made a meaningful contribution to our city by just being here today. Beyond today, I encourage you to actively participate in our community initiatives. Your insights, your ideas, and involvement are vital to shaping the future of Arden Hills. Thank you once again for being here this morning. I look forward to discussions and updates and shared enthusiasm that will make this State of the Union City Address a memorable event for all of us. Now I'd like to welcome Councilmember Tom Fable to present Rice Creek Commons, also known as TCAAP, and I would say that each of the council members will be presenting a different series of topics. So first off, Councilmember Fable.
Thank you, Mayor Grant. Good morning. Thank you, friends, for being with us here today. It is my privilege to discuss with you a project which has occupied an enormous amount of attention and time in the city of Arden Hills, at least for the last 12 years, and for many of us back since 1990. The property we're talking about now is the former Army ammunition plant property up in the northwestern part of the city of Arden Hills. We're going to have slides that will help us along. North of 96 and going up in the northwestern corner of the city of Arden Hills, the former Army ammunition plant property, 427 acres. To put that in perspective, that's about the size of all of downtown St. Paul. So we have an area the size of downtown St. Paul that we have been responsible for trying to get developed for quite some time. That was an Army ammunition plant that occupied from the 1940s up until almost 1990. There were as many as 26,000 people that worked there when it was an Army ammunition plant, and did a lot of good things for the country, supporting us in the Second World War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and others along the way. In the process, they created quite an environmental issue up there as well, which the federal government left behind when it abandoned that property in about 1990. In 2012, the property was purchased by Ramsey County. At that time also, the city of Arden Hills and Ramsey County entered into a joint powers agreement to develop the property. A joint powers agreement is something that is authorized under state law where two units of government can come together and agree to form a new unit of government which can take on a specific task. In this case, the task taken on by the city of Arden Hills and Ramsey County in 2012 was the development of the TCAAP property, now known as Rice Creek Commons. An agreement was entered on December 17th, 2012, one section of which says the city and the county desire and intend that redevelopment of the TCAP site take place to remediate and eliminate blighting conditions and to make possible and result in significant amounts of new development to provide employment opportunities, improve the tax base, and improve the general economy of the city, the local community, and Ramsey County as a whole. The joint development agreement created the joint powers agreement created as a governing body for the Joint Development Authority, a joint development commission or authority of 5 members, 2 members of the city council, 2 county commissioners, and a chair. That joint development authority since January of this year has consisted of Councilmember Tina Monson and myself, Commissioners Nicole Fretham and Victoria Reinhardt, and Arden Hills resident John Wickland was appointed in January as the chair of the Joint Development Authority. We meet every first Monday of the month right here in City Hall. They're public meetings and you're all welcome to attend and sit in on those deliberations. Now, under the Joint Powers Agreement, the city of Arden Hills was given a very specific responsibility, and the county of Ramsey has specific responsibilities as well. Ramsey County, of course, is the property owner. City of Arden Hills was charged with designing what the future use of that property might be. And it was set about that task diligently over the first several years. And in 2015, the city of Arden Hills adopted a master development plan. It kind of can be indicated in a small version there on the right-hand side of the picture there. But that plan for the development of the Rice Creek Commons has been in place since 2015. It was amended a little bit since, but for the most part, we're still talking about that same master plan, which was put into place in 2015 by the Joint Development, or by the JDA, the Joint Development Authority, working with the city of Arden Hills. And the city of Arden Hills had the responsibility for creating that plan and also then for doing the zoning, which is necessary for the implementation of that plan. All that was accomplished for the most part in 2015 and 2016. Meanwhile, Ramsey County had the responsibility in the first instance of cleaning up contamination which had been created over 40 years. Ramsey County spent over $30 million to do that cleanup work, and by 2016, they had completed it to the extent that the property is now capable of residential development as approved by both the Environmental Protection Agency and the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. So by 2016, great progress had been made by a lot of work by a lot of people. Unfortunately, and shortly after that point in time, an impasse took place. The county and the city communications broke down. Their discussions between the parties came to a halt. Litigation came on, and all activity stopped until through the course of the litigation, which wasn't resolved until 2021. The main issue in the litigation was the issue of housing. The original master development plan called for a total housing of 1,460 units. The county decided that they wanted more than that. And for 5 years, the Joint Development Authority did not meet at all. Also during that period of time, the contractor who had been under contract to the Joint Development Authority, a company by the name of Atlantis, their contract expired. So that by the end of 2022, we had no agreement on housing. There had been no Joint Development Authority meetings for 5 years. There was no developer under contract. Things had come to a halt. We had a new joint development authority came into place in January of 1923. Those were the people that I mentioned before. The city representatives were new city council members, Tina Monson and myself. The council commissioners I indicated, and we appointed a new chair. At that point, we were facing 5 years of inactivity. There had been very significant inflation that had taken place for construction costs over that 5 years of inactivity. And as we all know, interest rates have skyrocketed during that period of time as well. So those were the challenges that we faced when we began 2023. The new Joint Development Theater Authority, after 5 years of inactivity, met for the first time in February of 2023, and we adopted a new vision statement, which will be on this screen. It's that second line there. It says, the vision is to create an economic prosperity, build an inclusive community having long-term sustainable development, and develop an energy-forward community by providing much-needed housing at a variety of income levels, including affordable housing, and creating well-paying jobs. During the course of 2023, the JDA has been met on a regular basis. We created an advisory committee which worked directly with staff and starting to develop amendments to the master development plan, which would be needed in order to have the county and the city working together. We created an energy advisory committee, which is attended on a regular basis by Councilmember Monson, who has great expertise in this area. And we worked forward on trying to get a common vision back in place so that the project could go forward. In October and November of this year, the developer at Lattice, who I told you was no longer under contract, developed in any event a proposal for a new plan which with the JDA agreed would be a good idea. It primarily involved an increase in density for the Rice Creek Commons property by adding 500 units, going from 1,460 units up to 1,960 units. That would not alter the overall master development plan, which had been in place since 2015, with one exception. The far southwestern corner would have to be modified. It had formerly been set for office and other commercial space. It would have to be changed to accommodate additional housing, and that would require an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan. But other than that, that was and also additional density in the town center area. The Joint Development Authority thought that looked like was able to agree among ourselves that would be a useful modification of the plan. And so on November 1st, we had a community open house. I think there were probably about 200 people that came to that open house over at the city's Public Works Department. And this whole plan was set out, and there was ample opportunity to get public input on what people liked, what people thought should be different. But for the most part, we had a very, very favorable response to this plan that Lattice had come up with. That led to a banner day, December 4th, 2023, when we entered a new term sheet and a new planned development agreement with a Lattice company, which all brought all these things back together again. As I said, the new term sheet required that there be an amendment to our comprehensive plan regarding the zoning of that southwestern corner. That was done by City Council in January 24. I want to turn now to what that new term sheet has in it. And the new term sheet was adopted by the Joint Development Authority in December of 2023. First, and again, we have this listed up on our board up here. The overall density now would be at a maximum of 1,960 housing units, taking in housing of all different types, from studio apartments to townhomes to starter homes and to single-family homes. There's agreement on affordability for the homes. 20% of the homes would be provided at 60% or below of the area median income. Now, what that simply means is that a family of four can be making up to $74,520 and qualify as for affordable housing. Also, we provided for a large number of single-family homes, approximately 10%, or 44 units would be single-family. those would be eligible for county housing subsidies if they were earned up to 115% of the area median income, which means a family of four could be making as much as $140,000 a year and still qualify for some of that housing subsidy for new housing in the new Rice Creek Common area. The term sheet provides for high-paying job creation, where the parties have agreed to pursue tenants or buyers who provide such jobs. The term sheet provides for green energy sustainability, and in October of 2023, we created the Rice Creek Energy Vision and adopted that, which explores, among other things, an all-electric development at the Rice Creek Commons. And again, Tina Monson, who is on our council, works with that. She's a professional. She works in that area with projects of this nature around the country, and we are proud that the leadership Tina is providing in this area. So that under this term sheet, now the master plan, which we've seen before, or the development plan, has a maximum of 195 acres for housing. Most housing is what has occupied so much of the discussion. 195 of those 427 acres would be for housing. That leaves 232 acres of the Rice Creek development for other uses: commercial, industrial, shops, restaurants, parks, and other uses of that nature. And that's what we see coming forward. Now, there's another significant development that happened in 1923, and that will be the next the next slide here. This has to do with the thumb parcel. The thumb parcel is that portion of the property up in the far northwestern corner. Is a smaller portion, 40 acres that were up there. That area was not as used as heavily for the Army ammunition plant, and it wasn't as heavily polluted. Actually, there was a number of residences up there. I was told by some historical people that were the housing for some of the executives and workers at the ammunition plant. That parcel was more ready for development, so there, for that reason, in 2023, the county proposed and the JDA approved breaking it off and selling it for separate development. In January of this past year, the county has approved has selected the Ryan Companies, which is a major developer, to work on a development for that property. The county will receive almost $13 million for the property, and the Ryan plan is to put in three two-story office buildings in that area, one single-story restaurant or retailer, and the creation of 800 to 1,200 jobs and connections to the pedestrian bike trails. Now, Ryan has 15 months or something like that to do its own due diligence, but the hope is that during the course of the year, they'll be finding tenants, and we will be moving forward with that area, which is hoped to provide a great deal of major job corrections. So where are we now in 2024? Well, the blueprint is finally in place to fulfill that joint powers agreement vision, which I read right at the beginning. A joint powers agreement and a vision for economic development, housing development, improving the tax base for the city and the county and elsewhere, and finally making good use of that land. Significant progress was made in 2023. The parties are now working together. The county and the city and the JDA are working together. The developer is back on board. Lattice is once again working with us. A housing plan is in place. We're 1,964 housing. An environmental plan is in place and is moving forward. So great progress has been made, and we're optimistic that we're going to finally see this project completed. Now, the 2024 challenge has to do with financing. We estimate that the amount of money which is needed for the infrastructure is approximately $180 million, which is a lot of money, and it's going to take a while to get there. There are commitments in place. The county has committed to construction of the Spine Road, the road that will go from the north part of the parcel down to the south, and they're estimated to be about $30 million. The city is committed to amending its area redevelopment alternative urban area redevelopment, alternative urban area ride review, an AUAR, which the city was required to do under the joint powers agreement. That's going to be $25,000, I think, something in that nature for the city to do that. We have got what, it's not exactly a commitment, but great hopes that we're going to get a $25 million grant from the state's bonding bill that comes out in 2024. It's the top priority of the county, and we've met with both the Senate and House members on those committees, and we've received a favorable reception. So we're very hopeful to come at $25 million from that. In addition to that, the JDA in the next month is going to be identifying other sources of financing, federal government, state government, private investment, foundations perhaps, and others, to try to reach that $180 million that is needed for infrastructure work. The hope is that we will have identified that funding and gotten commitments on a lot of that funding before the end of this year, and that we will have in place a final development agreement with the developer and with the JDA agreement, bringing the county and the city together. Then what? Well, by 2025, perhaps we'll see some construction going on up in that spine, up in that thumb parcel with the Ryan Development Company, if they come up with their clients to do that. In 2026, we're hoping that we'll have the mass grading going on, so that the California parcel, or the entire southern part, will be in the process of getting ready for development. A spine road hopefully will be going in 2026, the highway the road that goes from the north to the south. Perhaps by 2028, we'll see some actual vertical development taking place. All this is down the road, I recognize that, and we have said from the beginning that we're probably 10 to 15 years out from seeing the full project finished. But with the hard work that has gone in, with the progress that has been made in the past year, with the support that we have received from many citizens and helpful people along the way, we're confident that this project is going to be done, and that at the end of the day, we as citizens of residents of Arden Hills are going to be the proud occupants and recipients and beneficiaries of Rice Creek Commons. Now it is my pleasure to turn this presentation over to Councilmember Brenda Holden, who is going to talk to you about Public Works. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Most of Public Works, as everybody sees them, they do the plowing, streets, water, sanitary sewers, stormwaters, the open space. They trim trees in our open space. They do so much. They're really at the heart of our city. They do a lot of the maintenance that we have. This is our 23 what we did infrastructure project. The second column is what the actual costs are, and the third column is how it was paid. So as you can see, we worked on the Mounds View School Trail construction. That will be completed this June, and we got money from Safe Routes to School, MSA, and for people that don't know what MSA is, it's the municipal state aid. Everybody pays a little on their gasoline tax, and we get a portion of that. The city's PIR funds, that's our permanent improvement funds that we put money in every year to maintain and use on major projects. And because this was a county road intersection with us, the county had to pay a half of their share. So we should have that done in June, and it's nice that now we have a safe route all the way from Mounds View, all the way from New Brighton, all the way to Old Highway 10. The County Road E and Old Snelling roundabout and Old Highway 10 pavement. Well, that's the new roundabout, in case anybody hasn't seen it or driven that area. It's by County Road E and Lake Johanna Boulevard area and Old Highway, Old Snelling. It was the 1.475 was the city's share of the roundabout, or we owed 1/4. 1/4 of the leg was city property, so that was our share of it. And again, you can see we got MSA money, we used some city money, but we were lucky enough to receive state bonding. I worked really hard. We had some major utility work that needed to be on their water and sewer, and they were over 50 years old, and fortunately, we didn't have to pay for it. We got state bonding for that money. So that worked out really well for the city. the 23 maintenance street projects, we have a maintenance budget every year, and we spend $220,000 on seal coating and cracking and fogging and patching, and you can pretty much see what that is. Over on the right, it's the dark green. And it adds roughly 20 years to any of the areas, so it's really a good thing to do the maintenance up front and keep everything up to date so that we have this big cycle of maintenance so that we don't have to continue to reconstruct or reclamate. And then, of course, the last one, or the other one, was we did the Arden Manor Park improvements. We put in a $470,000 of playground structure replacement. It'd been 20 years. We're on a cycle of 20 years for the parks. And we got a community block grant for some of that, and the rest came out of the city funds. We still have some work to do up in Arden Manor, and that will be done this year. And then Floral Park, the dark blue up there is, we had the playground structure replaced, and we redid the court, the tennis court and the basketball court. If any of you lived in that neighborhood, a lot of the oak trees were starting to push up on the tennis court, and all the leaves were raking down on the course and was destroying the surface. So all that's been taken care of, and the last thing and only thing that has to be done now is to stripe the court. And now we are, just so everyone knows, we are striping all the tennis courts in Arden Hills for pickleball and tennis. So we started that a couple years ago, and staff has really taken off on that. The next big project we have is the 2024 pavement program. And this will include the, we call it the clean neighborhood from 96 up to 694. Sections of Norma, Keatson Drive, Royal Hills will all be reconstructed. No, not reconstructed, sorry. Reclamation or mill and overlay. We're not doing any reconstruction in their area. Reconstruction means you dig it all up, and it's very costly. So luckily we're able to get by with reclamation and mill and overlay. There's some trails in this area. There are some private trails that we do not rehab, but we are rehabbing all the trails that are in this area. We do have to replace the water main on James Avenue. That will be totally dug up on James Avenue and replaced, and a new road put in there. That again, that water main is very old, and we're having problems with it. All the sanitary sewers in the area, before we do a pavement management project, we go in and we televise all the sewers. And any of the sewers that need repair and stuff, we do at this time. And we also do the lining of the sewers that don't need to be repaired. And if any of you have ever seen it, it's like they fill a balloon, and the plastic gets all on the sides of the water, on the pipes, and it really protects it for another 50 years. And lining is one of the best ways to do when you have a safe clay pipe. And let's see, they're going to do the stormwater treatments, and they're going to put in new catch basins that are a lot safer and better for our environment. And stormwater dredging ponds is a big cost to the cities. That was mandated a few years ago by the legislature, and they finally came up with all the rules and regulations. And so that's one of the biggest things that will be hitting the city. We've been saving money for that, but they have to dredge out all the old stuff, get rid of it, and make sure that it can still filter the dirty water down into clean water into the system. And at Floral Park, not too far from where the tennis court is, they're going to be adding some parking stalls for people that can, so they don't have to walk there or be in the neighborhood to play tennis or pickleball or even use the basketball court. So it's a very heavy project for our poor staff. They'll be busy doing that, so please be patient if you're in that area, and if you're in that area, they will work with you. They will be having more meetings. They've already had some, and work with everybody on driveway issues or drainage issues. So If you have any issues, please make sure you talk to the city engineer. Then, of course, we have our 2024 seal coat. And it's just the seal coating, just the maintenance aspect of it. As you can see, way up north, the light blue, that's up by the state of Minnesota's surplus area and the driver's license. If you didn't know, there is a trail up there that needs to be maintained. But mostly, as you can see, we're going to do the streets in 2024 that are down in the Glen Paul neighborhood, and those had been done about 5 years ago, totally reconstructed. So therefore, we're on a cycle where after we do them, we make sure that they're maintained and protected from the elements going forward. And of course, the crack ceiling is the dark blue. So I know it's kind of hard to read the little legends, but hopefully you get the drift, and it will be on the presentation will be online also. So 2024, more goals for our public works persons. So Dave Schweringer, we love you, and we hope that you don't go crazy on us. The second column is the budget estimate. We don't know, that's not a hard cost, we don't know for sure. And the third column is how we're planning on paying it. It's an estimate. So, of course, it's the PMP project, which is this clean area, is the yellow. And then we have a forced water main that needs to be done, and I hope everyone knows what a lift station is. That's what brings the sewage up and pumps it through the system, and those are very expensive. This is a $550,000, and we've been maintaining these, and we've gotten them up to current standards, and we still have to keep moving them forward doing that. And then we have the CIP, the sanitary sewer lining. Again, it's the I&I project. We have about 40% or 60% of our clay pipes lined. So if anyone's ever had sewage in your basement that's been backed up from the city, you'll know what a horrible, horrible experience that is. And the city is really working hard to get that all taken care of, and it really reduces the city's liability when that's done. Luckily, Met Council, and hopefully Peter can get us more money this year. You can ask for a grant and you pay 50-50, and so we've been doing that every chance we get, and we'll be working with the legislature again this year. We will on that issue. Of course, water towers need to be maintained all the time. They need to be painted. They get rusty. If you ever looked at some of the pictures online of what happens to the water towers. And at this year, it's been a long time, and I know I've been asking for many years to make sure that we have the safety precautions for our water towers, so we're looking at doing that. And the trunk water main drain, we have an issue where we need to upgrade a system from a 14-inch to a 16-inch pipe to make sure we have the water pressure that can go to that part of the city. So that's another, it's a lot of little things nobody ever thinks about. You turn on your water and it comes out, or you flush the toilet and the stuff goes away, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of work that has to be done by the city to do that. Then we have the Arden Court, the Arden Manor Hard Court. We're putting in a tennis court up there and a basketball court, and hopefully we will get some community block grants to finish that. And then the last thing is Perry Park. The roof is starting to come in, and we've decided to replace that with a steel roof, and that should make it last another 50 years. So just so you know, we're paying a little extra up front, but it's going to pay for itself in the long run. We have over 25.5 miles of trails. And again, we have different types of trails. We have asphalt, concrete, natural wood, chips, natural grass, and dirt. And this map, since I know you couldn't see it, but it's on the website, and we have the website address there, cityofArdenHills.org, 2008/trails, and that is the correct website. I did check it to make sure it was right. So if you want to see where all the trails are and this map, it's a wonderful thing to look at if you want to walk your dog out there. And the main activities, again, is what we're doing crack sealing, fog sealing, and pavement patching. And again, this prevents aging and cracking and extends the trail's life about 20 years. 2025, this is in the future. We're always planning ahead because we want to meet with the neighborhoods and talk to them and get their perceptive of what they want to do and any issues that are in the neighborhood before we start designing. Freeway Park, Oak Park, Arden Oaks Park, and Hazelnut Park improvements are going to happen in 2025. We'll be having open houses this spring and summer with the neighborhoods so they can bring in what ideas they have. I know Freeway Park is heavily used. That neighborhood has turned over significantly. We have a lot of smaller children there. So will be a big improvement for them. They've been waiting for it. And that's about $620,000 we have budgeted for that. Hazelnut Park parking lot. If everyone knows, Hazelnut Park shares a parking lot. Well, actually, we pay some money to use the church's parking lot. And if anyone's ever been there, the church's parking lot has significantly deteriorated through the years. So we're looking for a joint cooperative agreement with them so that we can fix up the parking lot, and it's a win-win for both the city and the church there. And of course, we'll have the lining again in the sanitary sewers in the Glen Arden neighborhood. Again, that's taking care of the old clay pipes so that we don't have any issues in people's basement. We have the booster station improvements that's coming up. That helps with pumping the water throughout the city. We have our old Highway 10 improvement. It's a $4.1 million trail. We've requested state bonding. We're hoping to get that. We've requested like $2 million in state bonding. I don't think we'll get it this year, but it sounds like we might be able to get it next year. But we've requested it, but different options are, there's grants, there's the PTRC fund, there's a city MSA fund, and then some of Ramsey County, because it is a Ramsey County road. So we're hoping to do that in the next couple years. Then we have a couple lift stations that need to be maintained. Lift station 1, that's on the corner of County Road, Cleveland and County Road D. And lift station 2 is, it's off in New Brighton, kind of in a swamp area. I don't think anyone would ever see it from any roads or anything, but those need pump replacements, and this is a maintenance safety issue, so we're taking care of that again next year. And the next thing, 2025, we're going to be looking at water meter replacements. I'll wait on that one until I get to that slide to talk about. Thanks. There's two main trails that we're looking at doing. Of course, everything depends on money and grants and bonding. Lake Johanna Trail, the county's the lead on that, and they're trying to move forward with that. They have no money budgeted yet. They're hoping to have some money. They have not designed it yet. So that's one thing that they're pushing for on their list, and we pay our part of that, which is about $9.5 million. So we'll have to come up with that money somehow. But right now they have a really nice plan, and we're hoping for, before even this gets done, something a little shorter in the short term to help slow down the traffic on that. I don't know, some of you live on Lake Johanna, but it's a pretty dangerous street with people going down that road really fast. So we're really looking forward to the trail, a new trail on there that is safe for everyone to get to the beach and enjoy the park. Then we have the old Highway 10 trail, which is estimated at 4.1. Again, we put in money for bonding there, and we put in money for state's routes to school, so we're hoping we get some funding there to complete that trail. If you've gone down Old 10, it was completely rehabbed by this county this year, and so they had everything all set up for us to do the trail, so all we have to do is get the money for the trail. One of the reasons the trail is so expensive is we need a boardwalk. There's a swampy area there, and Rice Creek Commons and PCA is making us do a boardwalk, which is roughly about $1 million. So that added significantly to the cost of the trail. And as I said, they're both dependent on grants, and the city will take the lead on the Highway 10 trail, and the county will take the lead on the Lake Johanna Trail, and they will be doing the road on Lake Johanna at the same time they're doing the Lake Johanna Trail. That is their plan at this point in time. My last slide, the water meter replacement. For many of you who've lived here many years, or not many years, our water meters have been in place for at least 25 years, and they all have batteries, and they weigh down, they have components, it's mechanical readings. We're having to go out and have people call in or go out and read meters. They're not accurate anymore. Again, they're very old. It's hard getting parts for the readers, it's hard getting parts for the water meters themselves, let alone the readers. And we're looking at replacing those. We haven't had a lot of issues lately. We had a significant amount of issues last year, but that's tentatively gone down. But we will be replacing them shortly. And we will be able to, we're going to talk about this. Council will talk about when to move forward with this. We know that our city engineer has gone to a couple conferences on this issue, so he's up to speed on where we can, what's the latest, what's the most cost benefit effective. And so as that moves forward, make sure when you get your letter to get your water meter changed out, contact the city, make sure your neighbors contact the city, because a lot of times it's really difficult to get in and change the meters. I know last time we did have some issues. Some people didn't want us knowing when they we use the water. But it's just a meter, it's just to bill people. So, I mean, some people wanted to wear their aluminum hats during, with the new meters. So, or how many times, my favorite was, they didn't want people to know that they flushed the toilet in the middle of the night. So it's not used for that purpose, it's just used to bill people, and we want everyone paying accurately. And we have $1.4 million that's already budgeted for the water utility fund, and I got to tell you, it is a blessing that we have gotten so much state bonding. I know I've worked really hard with the legislatures. We got over $2 million from the state legislature in water bonding money to fix water issues. So because of us going after and getting money from the legislature, we were able to save up a significant amount of money to put forward for the water meters so that it doesn't cost everybody another arm and a leg for the water in the city and their water bill. So that's all I have for Public Works. Again, thank you for being nice to our Public Works guys. I know you haven't seen them out there plowing, but they're ready to go if something happens. But they've been busy in shop maintaining all the works and the trucks and everything. So now I'd like to say Emily Russo, Councilmember Emily Russo, is going to talk about community development now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Holden. Good morning and welcome. It is so nice to see so many folks here today at 11 a.m. instead of, I think, I generally see you at about 11 p.m. So nice to see you. Thank you for coming and thank you for being engaged. Today I'm going to be talking about our community development, and I do want to say we do have two critical staff that are involved with this, and if you haven't met them and this is an area you're interested in, please introduce yourself. They're absolutely lovely. Director Jessica Jago is fantastic, and she works very often with Senior Planner Elena Frazen as well, so please feel free to introduce yourselves to them, and thank you for everything both of you do. So our community has desirable residential neighborhoods, and residents continue to improve feedback on the creation of local jobs and obtaining a mix of commercial amenities. Our business community is an important component of the city's long-term success, the city's economic base continues to remain relatively strong, and this was evident in 2023 with a variety of new and redeveloped commercial and industrial land use application reviews, as well as several existing businesses elected to make a significant investment through the building permit process by remodeling or expanding their facilities in Arden Hills. A few of these projects that we wanted to highlight was the CathX Medical. It's a division of Zeus Company, and it's located at 1275 Red Fox Road. The former Deluxe Checking Building was redeveloped with an estimated $5 million value to create a state-of-the-art catheter manufacturing facility. This facility has an advanced research and development lab, clean room space, and innovative laser cutting capabilities. It is anticipated that they'll hire nearly 100 new employees. It's a really cool site. If you ever get a chance to go there for another opportunity, please feel free to do so. We also have Rabata Cultural Center and Bookstore. This one's located at 3531 Lexington Avenue. They have completed renovations on this bookstore, which was valued at $90,000, and doubled the size of their space by expanding and combining two spaces in Arden Plaza. Rabata has specialty Muslim and Islamic textbooks in both English and Arabic, and it aims to provide educational and spiritual development for women by women. Another featured expansion project was completed at the Boston Scientific Campus. So this one's located at 4100 Hamlin Avenue North at Building 14. This was a 17,450 square foot addition, which was valued at $16.7 million. At Boston Scientific's Arden Hills campus, Building 14 is in the northwest corner of their site and is part of their manufacturing facilities for the development and production of lithium batteries used in medical devices. So this expansion was designed as disaster resistant with materials that can withstand high winds, windborne debris, and fire. The primary space of the facility is a dry room, a space maintained at less than 1% relative humidity, which is required for handling lithium. And residents appreciate that. I am right across the street with Karth Lake, so I know we all enjoy knowing that. Arden Hills also, except for the TCAAP area, is considered primarily a fully developed community. In 2023, the city received only 2 residential new home construction permits. One of the new homes is located off of Snelling Avenue on a lot previously owned by the city, and the other is along Highway 96 and Old Snelling Avenue, where the former residents constructed, it was a 1939, they had demolished a 1939 home, and the generational owners are now rebuilding a new home. On to the next slide. We're talking about completed construction in 2023. So we have 2 new senior living developments which held their grand opening celebrations. The first one is Round Lake Senior Living at 1740 Park Shore Drive. This is a 3-story senior housing building featuring 120 total units, and it includes independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing. Immediately adjacent to the senior living facility is the South Shore Fitness Park and Trail, which our PTRC had input on. Appreciate them for that, which was officially named by the city in 2023. This park features a trail that has exercise equipment accessible to and made for aging residents and residents with disabilities along the trail. It's a unique opportunity for folks. The second senior living project is New Perspective Senior Living, and that's at 3565 Pine Tree Drive. You can see that off of Snelling when you're driving over there. The senior facility is 4 stories with 145 total units, and it is also comprised of varying levels of services to meet residential needs. So after doing a little bit of research, thank you, Jessica, again, we are excited to report that both of these facilities have waiting lists while they were under construction, and a few months later they are nearly 50% to 60% occupied after their opening. The city continues to support a full range of housing opportunities that are consistent with the 2040 comprehensive plan and are suitable for a mix of ages, incomes, and household types. We will continue to encourage the incorporation of affordable and life cycle housing into new development and redevelopment where feasible in 2024. So on this next slide, we're going to talk about the several projects that were anticipated to come to fruition in 2024. The first of these projects is the potential new industrial development of a site often referred to as the Primer Tracer site. So on January 8th, 2024, the City Council reviewed a concept plan presented by Maplewood Development, Inc. for a project to develop an approximately 62-acre site. This was auctioned for sale in 2023 by the federal government. And this portion of the larger federal government site was previously used as a manufacturing facility for the production of component primers and tracer compounds associated with small caliber ammunition production. I can't remember, I want to say there was almost like 25 million perhaps rounds that were established in that area. It's quite impressive. The 62-acre listing area will include deed restrictions that limit future development to an industrial use. Maplewood Development is proposing office and warehouse land uses that will include an area within the business park for accessory outdoor storage. So the tentative timeline for this project is the demolition of existing buildings and then the infrastructure to occur this spring or summer, and then in the late end of the year, vertical construction may begin. So a few other notable sites for future or new development opportunities or even redevelopment opportunities are the Minnesota National Guard. As part of their approach to holistic health and fitness, they will be constructing a new 40,000 square foot building that would include studios, weights, offices, and areas for cardio and turf fields on the Arden Hills Army training site. The facility is estimated at $17.6 million with construction anticipated for 2025. And then in 2022, Trident Development completed a concept review on the North Heights Lutheran Church site at 1700 Highway 96 West for a proposal to construct 55-plus market rate apartments. In June of that same year, the developer did apply to the city for a comprehensive plan amendment to guide the future use of approximately 10 acres in the northwestern corner of the property towards high-density residential, which the City Council and the Metropolitan Council approved. The developer will need to submit to the city for future development review and approval. Then we also have a project that had a ton of inquiries over this past year, and that is the site at Lexington Station Phase 3. That's at 3787 Lexington Avenue North. This site was approved for an unnamed grocery store. I wonder who they could be. But this tenant suspended construction nationally in 2023 when the interior build-out was about 80% complete. So the site is currently advertised for lease, and a future user other than a grocery store would need to be reviewed for by the city. So if you know any friends, John Connolly, that are looking for space, please send them our direction. This past fall, Arby's at 3751 Lexington Avenue, which is right next to that store, pretty much, closed permanently. A review is underway for redevelopment of this property with a proposed car wash land use. The city anticipates that this site may have development activity in 2024. And then lastly, right next to where the Arby's is, there is the Pace Industries site, and that's at 3737 Lexington Avenue, which is situated at that corner of Lexington Avenue and Gray Fox. This 2.5-acre redevelopment site has been vacant since 2019. The council has reviewed a couple of proposals for this site, which have not moved forward for several factors. Future development would include demolishing the existing industrial site and testing the site for any contaminants. And so we continue to evaluate development and redevelopment projects as beneficial to advancing the goals and policies outlined in our 2040 comprehensive plan. And then our last slide over here, we as the City Council would like to recognize the 34th Red Bull Infantry Division, which is headquartered right here in Arden Hills. The different units include the Armored Brigade Command, the Expeditionary Command Aviation Brigade, and other regional support units. On the weekends, the city may see 700 or more soldiers in the area for training purposes. City residents often see them driving to Subway and picking up lunches. We see them in their vehicles as well. But the Red Bulls are an important part of our community, from building a new field house to hosting events like Scoops for Troops and the first annual Rib Fest to volunteering at events across the city. And we are lucky to have them call Arden Hills home. It was recently announced that members of the Red Bulls will be deploying to the Middle East to support Operation Spartan Shield and Operation Inherent Resolve. Mary Lee, are those the folks that ended up leaving this last week? Correct. So they have deployed, expecting to come back in the spring, and I want to thank them for their service and wish them a safe deployment. So, and this concludes this portion of the presentation, and I'd like to thank all of you for being here again, and turn this over now for Councilmember Tina Munson to talk about public safety. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you again for coming. Today we're going to turn it over to the public safety portion of what we are doing here with the city. I sit on the Lake Joanna Fire Department, the Fire Board, and so if there's any additional questions around it, I'm happy to answer them. For those who are unaware, Arden Hills does not have its own police department nor its own fire department, and so therefore we contract through the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office as well as contract with Lake Joanna Fire Department. This is a really important cost-saving strategy for our city, whereas our costs are about a quarter of the fire department's costs and about 13% of the sheriff's costs. So it's important for everyone to understand why that is part of our strategy. In the information here, you can see the cities that they also support besides Arden Hills. We continue to be a safe and peaceful community, and you can see that table on the bottom left. It's the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office calls. The vast majority of the calls fall under this other or miscellaneous topic, which includes assisting on medical calls, assisting the fire department, and things like 911 hang-ups and alarm calls. However, you can see some of the trends. We've got a drop in property crimes from 2022, and then we do have an increase of traffic-related calls in 2023, and I would anticipate that's probably a regional trend across all public safety. On the right side of the slide, you can see Lake Joanna Fire Department, and you can see the calls there have increased from 2022, although if you kind of look back to 2021, we're sitting in about the same place. As probably not much of a surprise for everyone, the fire departments have done a really good job, and there's not that many phone calls for fires anymore these days, and the vast majority of their calls that they respond to are rescue and emergency medical, and that has been a good value here recently, just due to the slower times on the ambulance side, and so we continue to be grateful for that. The service times for their access or how quick they can get to your home or your business still continues to be very good, and I think if you flip it to the next slide, I'm just going to jump right into the new headquarters station, which is on the right side. So in 2018, a study identified the need for a new station, and a new property was purchased, which is on Pine Tree Drive, right behind the old National Bank. And so there has been plans for a new headquarters station there, which of course can only really improve our service times here in the city of Arden Hills. So we're really fortunate to have had that property selected here in the city. We anticipate the cost for the station to be $20 million, potentially a little bit more, just depends on when we get those final bids back. But we were really fortunate in this last legislative session to receive $6.6 million from the state in order to go towards that money. And so in 2024, the Fire Board will be focusing a lot on understanding and creating a plan for the remaining, let's say, $14 million-ish for bonding across North Oaks, Shoreview, and the city of Arden Hills. One of the just kind of cool things to think about, I want to tell you about with the building down there, that is a rendition of the new design, but it actually has a unique training space. And so currently the Lake Joanna Fire Department goes to, I believe it's Maplewood for their training, and actually a number of fire departments go to the Maplewood Training Center, and so they'll actually be building that into this building. So they'll do their hose training, gas fire, rooftop training. They'll be able to do that right on site, and I would anticipate that other fire departments may be interested in participating in their training here on site as well. We're hoping to start construction in 25. So this means this year in 2024, Jessica will probably receive a plan for approval for local land use permit, and we're really excited about that. The other exciting things that we have been talking about at the Fire Board are the new staffing. So to date, there was 4 full-time staff and 85 part-time staff. And so the operational plan has changed over and starting to move towards a career department. And that first phase was hiring 6 full-time captains. That has been done, and they either started this week or maybe they start next week. But very, very soon, those 6 full-time captains will be covering a 24/7 coverage. And really importantly, the fire department did receive a federal grant called the SAFER grant to cover the costs, the salaries of those additional 6 captains for the first 3 years. And the city, just importantly for everybody to understand, the city has been putting money away both for those captains as well as the fire department, or for the new headquarters station to date, so that when, for example, that SAFER grant is done at 3 years, and when we look at this bonding, we've got a little bit of a runway that we've been preparing for. Mine's quick. I will actually welcome back Mayor Grant to go over the finances for the city.
All right, thank you. The next few slides will touch on the city's finances, including the city current financial position relative to the previous 5 years, how our property tax rate compares to other cities within Ramsey County, highlights from the 2024 budget, and then we'll end with the city's outlook on future investments. The first slide illustrates the previous year's revenues and expenditures. The city strives to be a good steward of public resources. You'll notice our fund balance at the very bottom goes from, in 2018, $3,340,000, and if you notice in 2023, $3,393,000. So we're pretty much keeping on track with that. The city received a clean audit report for 2022, which represents sound fiscal management of the inflows and outflows of financial resources and staff's commitment to the city's overall financial success. I would note that the 2023 financials are preliminary, but are expected to be finalized following the audit work that will occur in the first half of 2024. The next slide continues, the city continues to maintain one of the lowest property tax rates compared to other municipalities at a tax rate of 24.49. The average cost of property taxes on a $469,000 homestead, which is the median value in Arden Hills, ranked Arden Hills as one of the lowest compared to the other Ramsey County cities, making Arden Hills a desirable city to purchase a home or develop a business. One caveat is there is one city missing, that is North Oaks, and the reason for that is North Oaks is operated half as a city and half as a very large homeowners association, so it's not really a comparable. The next slide, moving into 2024 budget, and the 2024 preliminary tax levy will increase by 12.55% over 2023 expenditures, or $591,090, which translates into a $95.67 for the annual city taxes paid by resident homeowners of a median valued home. Again, the median valued home is $469,000. The general fund reserves show a budget decrease of $182.70, but this, of course, would assume that 100% of every cost center is fully expended over the course of the year, and that's, of course, unlikely to happen. Some of the larger categories increasing the 2024 budget include, and as I go through these, please keep in mind that last year was a high inflationary year, so a lot of these costs are being pushed by inflation. Public safety costs are expected to increase by 90%, or $239,140. The Ramsey County Sheriff's Department contract, which includes police and dispatch, is expected to increase $133,610, and the Lake Johanna Fire Department costs are expected to increase by 11%, or $82,750. Personnel costs are increasing by 8.5%, or $158,060, due to cost of living adjustments, salary increases, and health insurance premiums. Property tax liability insurance costs are also increasing by 48%, but that's just $20,250. Also increasing the cost this year is the city's investment in Northeast Youth and Family Services, which totals $23,303. One item to note is that this year will be the first year in like forever that Arden Hills will be receiving local government aid from the state in the amount of $121,471. Yeah. Some of our neighboring communities in the past, like Arden Hills, received zero, but other communities like New Brighton receive like $750,000 a year. So while it's not a large number, we're certainly appreciative of the change in the formula, which gives us the ability to participate in local government aid. The next slide, how do the budget impacts translate to a resident? Again, a median valued home in Arden Hills is $469,000, and that home would pay $95.67 a month for city property taxes, which in turn funds services like public safety, general government, and the general government would include such items as personnel costs, planning, zoning, maintenance of government buildings. In addition, we have park facilities, recreation programs, maintenance and repair of the city's roadways. Public safety account, as you can tell from the slide, accounts for approximately half of the general fund budget. And your general government, about a quarter, and slightly more than a quarter park and recreation and public works. The next slide, as we look forward into 2025, and you've heard some of this in the previous presentations, we have the Old Highway 1096 trail to Valentine Road. The city's share of that project will be $1.6 million out of a total of $4.1 million. That's a joint project with Ramsey County, and the project is dependent upon obtaining outside funding from other areas. We have the Lake Johanna Boulevard Trail. The city's share would be approximately $2 million. The project would be $9.5 million, and that is also a joint project with Ramsey County. And again, construction would be highly dependent upon obtaining outside funding. As noted earlier, we have the Lake Johanna Fire Station, and the city's share of that would be $3.5 million. The total cost of that project is estimated at $14 million, and we did receive $6.6 million from the state. And then the water main replacement project, city's total cost would be $1.5 million. Obviously, the city water meter replacement is 100% our costs. What you really need to gather from this slide is, as you look into the future, and you don't have to look very far into the future, there's a number of projects up here that are of substantial cost. And not listed up here is obviously TCAAP, which has all sorts of cost implications and operating costs and infrastructure costs. But these costs are substantial for the city. On the bottom of this slide, you'll notice it says the city proactively seeks other funding and or financing sources to reduce the overall amount funded by taxpayers. That concludes the city finances. Our city finances are strong and relatively consistent, as you can tell from the one slide from year to year. And with that, and I know we're running a little bit late, we have some additional items which will be presented by Councilmember Monson.
So I've just got about 3 slides here with some miscellaneous items that we thought it was important to highlight for the citizens of what the city has done. So the THC and cannabis topic is always a hot topic. I'll try to keep it short, and the residents can go ahead and read the slide, but essentially there's 2 ways to think about it. THC is a low potency. A lot of times you can consider it edibles or drinks, and then what is considered higher THC, you can really colloquially call it cannabis. And so those have been split legally in the state. This year, the city did lift its moratorium, as it was only allowed to have a moratorium for a year on the THC products, those edibles, those drinks. And the council moved to allow for those businesses in the city that are already licensed to sell liquor and tobacco products, as they're already familiar with having an age screening process and so on and so forth. So the THC is allowed to be sold there. The council also passed a moratorium on the cannabis piece, so those are the higher potency of the THC. The state is opening an office of cannabis. That's probably not the official name, but they're going to have an official office, and that is not slotted to be open, and their anticipated is until January 1st, 2025. So the city did pass a moratorium in that time to allow for us to learn about what those rules, regulations, enforcements will be from the city, from the state, and then therefore what is the role of the city and how does that look. And so to date, cannabis is on a moratorium here until we have more information, which means in 2024 the council will have to discuss this, as the moratorium does run out by that January 1, 2025 date. We can go ahead to the next slide. Committees and commissions, always really important to highlight for those who are here and those who are listening or will be listening in the future. Thank you for your service as you sit on these committees. They're really important to helping shape our city and hear the voices of the residents in a different capacity than just an individual conversation. I find it incredibly important, so thank you very much for those who participate. The planning I'm not going to read this just for the sake of time, but the planning commission has 7 seats, and I believe there may be 1 open for the alternate, correct? No, for the full time. So we have an opening on the normal commission there. The Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee has, I believe, 12 people. I don't know if that's right. Does it look like maybe Jessica's looking at League? Maybe not. But we believe we have 1 opening, or is that filled at this point? Oh yeah. Okay, so there might not be an opening there, but go ahead and if you guys have questions, you can always go online and find more information. And then the Economic Development Commission, which is really revitalized this year, has 9 seats, and there is 1 open left. And just to give you a plug, we continue to look for volunteer coaches for all of our youth programs, as well as referees. So please, for those who are willing to do that, we'd love to have you come along and strengthen our youth programs in that way. And then speaking of the youth, in 2023, the city rejoined to support the Northeast Youth and Family Services organization. It is a nonprofit. It costs the city around, I think the number was $23,000 earlier in the presentation. This is really important because this is where we as a city are able to show our commitment to supporting the mental health needs of youth. If you guys have ever seen the stats on depression, anxiety, and issues with children these days, it's absolutely horrifying. I'm a mother of 2 children who are 5 and 3, and these are the things that are really important, not just for parents, but for future generations, to really try to support these kids through some tough times that maybe we didn't have to go through because we didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones when we were 13 or 12 or 15, and there's a lot of, and you can see these programs here. They are in the schools, they do day treatment, they do all sorts of different kinds of programs to really help support our youth through these difficult times for them. And so with that, I'll close that out, and I actually think that I am inviting Mayor Grant back up here for any final words. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Monson. And I would like to thank all of my fellow council members for helping me share these important city updates with you today. I know we went over a lot today, and I know we went over time. If you'd like to stay and chat further, council members and staff will be sticking around afterward. I want to extend my sincerest gratitude to each and every one of you for being here today. Your voices matter deeply to our progress and success as a city. I also want to express my appreciation to the city council members and city staff who work hard every day for our residents. Thank you all for being here today. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll be here to answer any additional questions that you may have. And thanks again for being here.